welcome to another episode of the Starter Girls Podcast with your host, Jennifer Loading.
And Brianna Drellis, and we are the Starter Girls.
Absolutely. Where extraordinary decisions produce extraordinary results. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photographer of Glad Models Agency. If you are here in the Dallas or surrounding area and looking for some photography work, check out Walt Mills. You can learn more about him and his work at photosbywalt.com. All right, are we ready to get this started?
We absolutely
All
are.
right.
Yes.
So today is a great day to be brave. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up, be amazing, be you, do you. All right, we are super excited because we have a guest in the studio today, and this is so awesome because I don't know about you, Brianna. I think this is your first time to actually have another guest in here, but I love it when the guests come in because I think these shows are just so much more fun.
Yeah, and we can have the energy and conversation. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So we want to welcome Christy Meenan to the show, and I'm going to tell our listeners a little bit about you, Christy, and then I'm going to let you take it away here in a minute. So Christy is a certified resume writer, job search strategist, career coach, and LinkedIn pro, which I'm excited about. More things to learn here. She formed her business, We Write It Now, in 2018 after finding herself back in the workforce, unsure of where she belonged and feeling dejected due to no offers. Christy says she's always loved to write. Her first writing gig was in the second grade. Years later, she pursued a journalism degree at Texas A&M, dabbled in print and television production, and then accepted a job as an on-air talent at a classic rock radio station. I love this. So fun. Christy says, I relate to job seekers. I've walked a mile in their shoes and know firsthand how tough it is getting rejection after rejection. So welcome to the show, Christy. We are super excited to have you here today.
I am excited to be here.
This is so good. I loved your bio. You know, of course, I had to condense it. You had so many great things on there, but this is so fun. I love all these little things you've done, and I didn't know about the radio show thing.
It's a colorful past, and that's another story for another time, but yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, so we're going to get this started, and I want you to kind of, real quick, before we dabble into everything, give us a little bit about what it is that you do and who are these people that you are serving.
Absolutely. So I help job seekers speed up the job search process. And I help coach them through the process and tap into the hidden job market. I teach them strategies on LinkedIn so that they can have their network work for them. And I also just teach them kind of the ins and outs, because when you're looking for a job, it's more than just a resume. It's more than a cover letter. There are other things that you have in control, in your power, that can help you speed up that job search and attract the ideal position for yourself.
That's amazing. And right now it's probably really helpful because there are a lot of people looking for new opportunities.
Yes.
Or maybe people are looking to shift, and go in a different direction. So utilizing a platform like LinkedIn would help them, but also more importantly, getting someone like you who understands LinkedIn is going to, like you said, speed up that process. And we always say, like, with a coach, it can take you, go ahead, figure it out. It'll take you like a year or so. But if you're going to hire me as a coach, I'll get you there in, a quarter of the time.
Right.
Or whatever it is, right? That's always going to speed up the process when you get a coach involved.
So, way back in the day before social media was even a thing, we didn't have the resources available like we have now. And, having a job search, if you're unemployed, doing the job search, it's a full-time job to find a job. And if you haven't been in the job search process, just applying to one company. So let's say I've already identified my dream job and the target position, and I'm going through the application process. It can take 45 minutes to apply to one job. It's not as simple as just hitting the apply button. There's all of these things that have to go along with it. And so just finding the job takes time, and then learning all of the tips and tricks and strategies. You can research that. So, yes, you can do it on your own, but I have already gone through all that. So I can send you the links. I can talk high level to help guide you along the process so that your time is better spent networking with people, expanding your network, and looking for the job.
It's great.
Yeah, I love that. I'm just, in my brain and in my world, it's so ideal. Because I'm all about, like, what is the easiest way to get where we need to get, right? We don't need all the B through the, the B, C, D, E, F. That's what you do. I love it. We've had so many people on the show. I feel like, just even our last show that just went out where we had this platform, and it was so great because, she's all about providing resources. And I think that is so essential when you're, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're looking for a job, there's all these things you have to do, right? And if you have somebody that's already been there and can guide you through that, it just saves you so much energy and time. And time is money.
And you don't make the mistakes that you normally would make.
Right.
And the mistakes are what delays the process.
Yeah.
And it can get really messy on social media if you're making those mistakes.
Yeah.
Totally. And you have the systems in place. So that's the thing. You've got the systems in place. They're working because your clients are seeing success, and you basically say, okay, this is what's working. This is how we do it.
Right.
Here you go.
And the thing that I hear most often from the people that I talk to, regardless of if they're my clients or not, is they're floundering, they're stuck, they don't know what they don't know.
True.
And so my advice to them is invest in a coach who knows these things and that can teach you, again, the tips and strategies and the ways to tap into that hidden job market.
That's great. I do have another question for you along these lines because you're talking about networking and, really utilizing LinkedIn. We were talking earlier about the new platform Clubhouse, which is still in beta as we discussed, but out of curiosity, there is definitely a networking element in Clubhouse that's completely different from LinkedIn. But how do you see the two platforms either syncing up together or one, getting bypassing the other right at this point? Because I do see them having different functionalities, but because Clubhouse is so new, I can't imagine that they wouldn't be adding these extra components to the app.
And I feel confident that they will. So right now with Clubhouse, it's so early in its launch, so to speak. You feel like you are sitting in on this conversation and observing and learning from executives that have already made it. And I was telling you this weekend, I spent a good 8 hours on Clubhouse interacting and listening to people in different walks of life from all over the world because it's a global platform, and getting to be brought up on stage and have these dialogues with people that I never would have had a chance to have a dialogue with. And so, if you're not on there, I highly recommend checking it out. You have to get an invite, and that's a whole nother thing. But it's time well spent, I think, and it's a fantastic example of networking at its finest and purest. So I highly recommend
and just
it.
to give you a little background, basically, it's almost like you're listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
But you have the ability, like different podcasts are called different rooms. You have the ability to actually raise your hand and get invited to the speaker stage to ask a question. Or if they establish that you're an expert in that, they'll just leave you up there and you can start answering questions from other people. So suddenly you are the speaker in the podcast room answering questions and establishing yourself as an expert.
Right.
Which if you're a coach or if you're a executive or whatever that might be, you're serving others in that way. And it's very, very interesting. And the other thing that we were talking about as far as the networking aspect of it is how it does, in order to DM someone, you do have to go out to Instagram.
Right.
And then DM them through Instagram or whatnot. So that is a little interesting. So we'll see how it evolves. But
this is interesting.
I feel like this is going to be an interesting component to your business as well, and how you serve others is, watching LinkedIn and Clubhouse kind of do their dance.
Yes, that's a great way to explain.
I'm in Clubhouse. I need to get in there and dig. I didn't even know you could do all that. I've been in it once or twice, and it's so funny because I was sitting in the car in the passenger seat messing with it one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, can they hear background noise right now? Do I need to hit a mute button on this thing? So I need to get in there. But it seems like it's starting to pick up now, and people are starting to really get in there and check it out. And so You guys got me kind of excited that I need to get in there and play with that a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
good stuff.
Yeah,
Thanks for sharing all that. Good stuff.
It's awesome.
Thanks for asking that question. That's good. I love it. Brianna always gets the good technical questions, and I love that because you draw out that other, that other part of what these people are doing, and I think that's really good. So, Christy, I want to change it up just a little bit. I want to go back and talk a little bit about how you got into what you're doing, and just kind of share with us a little bit the background about how that evolved for you, because we always talk about, entrepreneurship is not linear. There's always these things that sort of happen, and you kind of evolve into that. We've been using the word lately, like accidental entrepreneur, you know what I mean? Where people just sort of kind of evolve into that. So maybe share a little bit about your background, how that came about for you.
Sure. So I had been a stay-at-home mom and took a break from working, like most moms do, or most moms are blessed to do. And the time came when I was ready to re-enter the workforce. And I had the experience there prior, and I had worked with big name companies. I had a very active community of colleagues and networkers that I had built relationships with and continued to maintain those relationships with. But when I decided to get back into it, I wanted to go back into a marketing role. And, while I was away, social media erupted, and I wasn't quite to speed. And I didn't have the recent experience. So it was tough for me to break into marketing. So I was just trying to find where I belonged. And I could talk quite a bit about that, but I won't. I struggled trying to find my way and get back into a 8-to-5 job. And I failed. It took a year. I applied over 100 positions, and I was applying to positions that I was plenty qualified for. I was applying to some positions that maybe I wasn't the best candidate, but I wasn't getting the traction that I had been previously, and I did not understand what I was doing wrong, what I was not doing. I didn't know what I didn't know. And so after a year of frustration, and I went from feeling pretty good about myself to, feeling about this high, I decided to put everything on hold and just dig deep and meet with recruiters and hiring managers and ask the questions that I was afraid to get the answer to. What am I not doing, or what am I doing wrong? Is it my resume? Is it my age? What is going on? And what I found out blew me away. There was so much that I didn't know. And there were things that I wasn't doing. And I'll give you an example. For my resume, I came with a background in marketing, in copywriting, and in training. And so I took all of that experience and I put it on my resume because I thought, I'm just going to throw it all on there, and surely somebody's going to see the value that I have. They're going to look at all of this colorful experience and go, wow, she's a great candidate. And they actually do the opposite. Because there was no focus.
Yeah.
They got confused.
Right.
Confused.
So I tried to be a jack of all trades, and that did not work at all. So it came across as, so what do you want to do? Do you want to do A? Do you want to do B? Do you want to do C? Right. And my internal response was, I don't care, but I can
just
make it work.
Give me something.
Yeah.
I just need a job.
Exactly.
Right. And that is 100% not what they want.
Right.
So that was just one of the things that I learned. And so as I started learning all of these different tips and hacks and strategies, I started thinking about it. And then I don't think I'd shared this with you, but I came across this post about this thing called Ikigai.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I know. It sounds very weird. It's the intersection between doing what you love, doing what you're good at, and making money at it.
It's what we talk about.
And I thought,
the sweet spot.
The flow spot.
The sweet spot. And I thought, oh my God.
Yep.
Like, I love to write. I love to market myself, and I love to market other people. And I can take all of this newfound knowledge that so many people don't know, just like me, and make money doing it.
Right.
Teaching, coaching, helping. And so I just kind of gelled on it for a little bit, thought about it, and I thought, well, why not? Like, what I'm doing has not worked in the past. So why not try something completely new, which is how I accidentally fell into it. So I started doing some resume design for friends for free, and it was working for them. And the more that I learned about how to position yourself in the best light, the more that I shared that information, they were as shocked as I was when I found out. And so I just kind of went all out.
This is
or
so
all in.
good. I'm thinking here, and it's so interesting because when we talk about these, like, falling into this, it's so crazy how, prior to, like, I've been coaching for years, like I've been doing for years, but I kind of did it in a different career, and it was part of what I had to do in that field before I went on my own. And it's so interesting. You said so many things, like just really about finding the niche. That's the one thing that comes to mind, because this was something that was really hard for me when I was trying to segue from what I had done before and move into what I wanted to do now, because it was like, okay, so what kind of coaching do I want to do? Who's my audience?
Yeah.
And really just because I was like you, I'm like, well, I can do this and I can do this and I've got skills in this and skills in this. And, and it really, I had to like figure out, how do I connect all those dots? And I think this is so hard for a lot of people, is really figuring that. And I know Brianna deals with that with customers, really just figuring out what is it that they're really trying to present out there, finding that message and putting that out to the right audience.
Right.
So it's good. So you hit on that. And then there was something else I thought about that was really good. Oh, about that, just kind of landing into the entrepreneur, how you can't, it's sort of like having kids. You can't read a manual to be an entrepreneur. Like, you can't open a book and go, okay, today I'm going to learn how to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
No, you can't, right? And so many people think they got to learn all these things to be this entrepreneur. I mean, yes, you do learn, but really it's you go into it and you evolve in it, because there's no amount of learning you can learn first. You're still going to have life experiences going through the business. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think there's so many like great takeaways there. And I feel like entrepreneurship's like having kids.
It is like
so
having
many
kids.
ways.
And the thing with owning your own business or starting your own business is it is a continuously evolving learning opportunity for you. And since I graduated from college, I've always been super passionate about professional development, whether it's for me or whether I'm watching others grow and teaching others and then seeing them grow. It's always been a big part of my life. And so I get to do that for people, and it's very rewarding. And along the journey, I've grown so much.
Yeah.
This is so good. So we don't even have to ask you now, what do you love about what you get to do? Because you just said it in the last sentence. She just said it right there. I'm like,
you're welcome.
But this is good, because it's going to segue us into our next piece, which is I want to talk about mindset success. I know you're probably going to want to jump in on this too. So, Christy, tell us when you are going after something, because you had to do that, obviously, to go from here to here, right? Come back from being stay-at-home mom. And I've been there, so I get it. And I know Brianna's probably been in that same space, too, because we're all moms, and we've all been in there, going from mom to, and even juggling that mom, and being successful, right?
Yeah.
So when you're going after something, tell us what that looks like for you. What's that mind space?
So it's really easy to get intimidated and overwhelmed with starting your own business, because like you said, there's so many different components of it, and so a coach told me last year, and I put it on my whiteboard and I look at it daily: baby steps equal baby wins. Baby wins build on larger wins, and larger wins equate to success. And so that's what I try to do, is when I'm in the planning mode, I have lofty goals that are way up here, and then I say, okay, what are the things that need to happen in order for me to get here? And I just literally do a brain dump. They're in no particular order. I just dump everything out, and then I walk away. And then I come back to it after I've put some space in between there. And then I prioritize. And out of those goals, then I break each goal down into smaller bite-sized chunks so that I can set myself up with smaller successes, which inspire me and encourage me and keep me motivated to continue to reach higher and higher. So that would be my advice.
That's great. I love those brain dumps.
I was going to say, I knew she's going to, let's talk about the brain dumps. That's the second person that was talking about that, too.
Doesn't it feel good, though?
Yes.
You know what's so fun is the first time I heard that was from her, though. She came on the podcast like back early last year, and she was talking about brain dumps. And I'm like, I guess maybe I knew what it was, but I never really heard of it called that. Like, I never heard that term.
It's very techy.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's one of those things where if I can't sleep, if I'm going a few days and I'm swimming in my brain every single night, I'm like, first thing tomorrow morning, priority, brain dump.
So good.
There's obviously a lot up there that I need to get out, so it's kind of like word vomit on on paper. And
Yep.
do you go pen to paper or do you type
Yes.
it or?
Pen to paper.
Okay.
I'm very old school that way.
Me too.
I can see you two totally
I
doing
know.
like these massive brain dumps. I do.
I love
I do. Mine's my list. Like it's the same thing. It's not probably as big, like, as colorful, but I do the same thing really on my list because even when I'm working with people, I tell them like every day, typically before I go to bed, the day before, I write things out. Any ideas I have, anything I need to get done, things I'm working on, it all goes on. And that's why my notepad looks awful. I mean, my kids are like, why do you write diagonal? And I'm like, because it has to be like, different. Like I got to put the lettering different directions and stuff. I need to do a doodle pen.
Do you write in like different colors?
I use highlighters.
Yes.
I do highlighters a lot. But I was just saying, I should pull my gel pens out. And then I could just be like, different colors. But I get it. I totally get the brain dumps, and I think they're good. I think it's a way to, and for people, especially if if you're having trouble going to bed at night, it's probably because you're ruminating over things that you are worried you're going to forget something or you need to release something. Put it down on the paper.
But the prioritization of the brain dump is key because
For sure.
you could actually get very overwhelmed when you look at the brain dump because you're like, oh my God, I have so much to do.
Yeah.
And then when you go through it, I do an ABC prioritization. Do you too?
Okay.
Okay. So it's
I do critical. Yes, I need to do it, but it's not urgent, and then like to do.
And I do the same thing. We all share the same thing. See?
Yes. So that's really, really important. So if you're listening and you are exploring this brain dump idea, make sure that you do the prioritization afterwards because there's going to be plenty of things on there that you'd like to do, but maybe aren't the priority must do.
Right.
So I think that's awesome. I love that you do that. And then do you celebrate? Do you carve out time to celebrate? Because you strike me as the one who's like, I'm just going to keep rolling. Go.
Oh, no. I celebrate.
Oh, good.
Oh, she does. See, she's got a little fun side over there.
I celebrate.
She's like, I'm not serious all the time. I have a little fun side somewhere.
No, so on LinkedIn, the post that has received the most traction out of all the content that I push out there is my chocolate chip cookie post.
I must have missed your chocolate chip cookie post. Now I'm going to go back and look for it now because I missed it.
Is that your favorite way to celebrate?
No, not at all. I have plenty of ways to celebrate, but I had just completed my certification for resume writing, and it's a big, long thing.
Yeah.
And I had just mailed off my copies to be read and reported and graded, and I wanted to celebrate, so I went to my local bakery in Murphy and I got one of those big chocolate chip cookies, and it's like this big, right? And I was thinking about it and I go, you know what, I have such a great group of colleagues and connections on LinkedIn. I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to say I'm celebrating.
Good for you.
And I still have people that will connect with me and go, you posted that chocolate chip cookie thing. And I'm like, yeah, that was me.
I'll go back and look for your chocolate chip cookie now. Yes, got to celebrate the wins.
Yeah, for sure.
The baby wins or the big wins?
100%.
I love it.
100%.
That's great.
So many good things. You can obviously tell that you've done some you're versed in personal development because the people, when we talk about that, they get it. And it's one of those things where oftentimes people don't understand these trivial little things that you're doing are so important to your mental well-being, and you want to increase your productivity in your work, you need to get your mental well-being right. That has to be intact because it affects everything. And Brianna said this in a show, I don't remember which one, about we were talking, how your personal life reflects into your business life. So if your personal life is a mess, your business life is probably a mess. So good stuff.
That's true.
So good.
Yes.
Okay, so, and I know you're going to want to chime in, so whenever you have a question, just chime in.
Well, I'll just, you were talking about the decision that you made to not, get a job, but instead to just go into work for yourself, to become that entrepreneur, to become that coach, to take your expertise and help others. So what we talk about a lot here on Starter Girls is how a lot of our guests, we like to highlight how a lot of them make these extraordinary decisions, which lead to extraordinary results and extraordinary lives. So would you say, because to me, that's a really extraordinary decision for you after a year of getting no's and, you hired a coach, you got the knowledge you needed, and then you didn't go out back into the job force. You actually created your own. So am I missing something? Am I right? Am I right on track?
Yeah.
So would you say that would be one of your extraordinary decisions that you made that kind of shifted for everything for you, or?
it really did shift everything for me. And I hadn't planned on sharing this part, but it's no big deal. It's kind of cool, I think. It was in the year that I was going to turn 50. And I had always played it safe in my life. I don't know that I'd say conservative, but safe, you know. And I did the right thing and played by the rules and all of that. And look where it had gotten me. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to be 50. It is time to really, truly start living the life of my dreams. And what does that look like? And I had done a lot of reading and self-development through Mel Robbins.
Yes.
I love her.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Bam.
That's how I got out of bed this morning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm up. But anyway, she always has great advice, and she's one for following your dreams. And I thought, if I don't do it this year, I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to regret it. And so that was really kind of that mixed with learning about the Ikigai.
Yeah.
And it was like everything kind of came together at once for me. And it was like the universe was saying, go ahead, I give you permission to take this leap of faith. And so I did. And mindset obviously plays into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did a lot of visualization and a lot of prayer and a lot of connecting with people and getting their support and encouragement. And I talked to other business owners and said, what do you recommend? What do you not recommend? Where do I need to dump my money? Where do I not need to waste my money? And so I had a lot of guidance along the way. And so I'm very appreciative of that. And that's kind of how it all happened.
Yeah.
And I can't even think about looking back now. So
That's right.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is hard to step out of that little safe space. And that's what I feel like so many people get. That's where I feel like so many people never really find that sweet spot. We were talking about that flow moment because they stay in that safe spot all the time. And something I always tell people, like when I'm working with people, is we attach failure to our identity. We look at something and go, if we fail at this, it defines me as a human being. And this is the weird thing, because I don't look at failure like that. I look at every experience and I go, okay, well, I may screw this up. And it may be bad, but I'm going to live with that decision. And you know what? That's okay, because I'm going to learn something out of it. Like, I'm going to figure out in the process what didn't work. And then I'm going to do better next time. That is how I approach everything. Like, I say that it took me a very long time to get to that place, because I was in that place where everything I did, I'm like, should I do that? Because I don't want anybody to think bad of me. And then I just really one day got to a place where I'm like, life is short. You only have one life to live. And if you want to do something bad enough and it keeps coming back to you and it keeps like that little piece just sort of keeps surfacing up, there's a reason you're meant to do it. And you just need to go and detach the failure. They just recognize that failure is always going to be a part of your process. It is always going to be there. You can't run 100-miler without having muddy feet. I mean, I've seen my husband do some pretty nasty runs, and he's always a mess. He's a wreck when he does them. You can't do anything without all that stuff in there, So if you just know that it's there, you prepare mentally and go, it's going to be there. I'm going to get a pothole. My tire's going to run through it. But guess what? I'm just going to plow through that thing. I'm going to come out on the other side, and I'm going to learn something amazing from it.
And it feels good
to
take a risk every once in a while.
Absolutely. So kudos to you for doing it, because I know that's hard. And I know as a mom, it is hard to put yourself back out there when you've been home, and really just, and I know you, same thing. We've all had to do that. We really kind of reinvent ourselves. That is hard to do. It is hard to do. So,
and not everyone's cut out for it.
100%.
They don't, you have to have that self-belief. You have to have the belief to go, I'm capable.
100%.
I'm going in. I'm doing this, and it's a commitment.
And you have
I'm getting chills right now talking about all this.
But to your point, you have to not be afraid to fail.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Just remember, it's part of the process, right?
It is.
You can't be victorious without failure.
If you're not failing, you're not growing.
That's right. I love it. All right. Well, this is the last question I want to ask you before we kind of jump in. And that was a good question, Brown. Thanks for asking that. In your terms, I said a no word today. I hardly ever say and today I did. In your words, how would you define success? What does that look like for you?
So, success in my terms, it really it can look differently, whether you're talking about success in your personal life, success in your professional life, success in your relationships. So that can look a little bit differently. But for me, overall, if you pin me down, I think that for me, if I can have balance, if I can exercise balance in all of those areas most of the time, then I think that's pretty close to success. And then the other piece of it that you can't ignore is the financial piece, you know. So do I want to be rich? Sure, who doesn't, right? But in terms of financial success, if I'm able to live my life on a daily basis and not be paralyzed by fear, like how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to pay the rent? You know, I would consider that somewhat successful. I mean, I'm always reaching for more, but yeah, to maintain a balance and not to be paralyzed by financial fear. That would be
so good. This was good.
Totally.
Good
Absolutely.
stuff. I think we all agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I think that's I love that question. And it's pretty common. I think a lot of people say kind of similar, different wording, but kind of similar, just finding that harmony. And, you know, I always use the word harmony. Balance. I say balance sometimes. I like the word harmony. Find that peace.
Harmony's nice.
Find that peace in all those spots. And I think that gets back to what we've been talking about, the personal development, because you reach those spots when you work on the personal development. All that stuff, you show up differently when you're working on you. So good. I think we need to do some fun questions.
Yes.
What do you think?
Can't wait.
All right, let's do some fun questions. Not that these have not been good.
No,
They've
but
been
I'm
really
scared.
Good. No, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. These are good. So, and I know we're going to kind of go back and forth because Brianna has some too. So, all right, Christy. So, I'm going to kind of guess on this, but I'm going to ask you, morning or night person?
Night.
She is a night. I was going to say morning.
No.
I would have totally picked you for morning.
Night.
Just because you're like serious and like, you know.
No.
So you get all your like creative thinking and all that, like second wind.
My genius zone is probably between 3 p.m. and 10 p.m.
I love it. Brianna and I are like, it's night time.
It's 3 p.m. I need a coffee and
shit. We are up early.
My brain literally just
I know
shuts off.
both of us are up early in the morning. It is so fun when you find people like that because like I can ping her like at 6 in the morning. And I'm like, just read it whenever you read it. It's fine. You don't have to answer right away, but I know she's up. Yeah. And it's so good. But both of us are like by 3 o'clock. I'm like, that's why I don't want to do like a lot.
Computer
after
closed.
That.
Yeah. I don't do any clients. I have one day where I have clients later. On my Mondays, I have clients.
And then we have podcast on Wednesday.
Yes,
we're like, we can't do too late even on Wednesday. So we're going to be like.
I'm like,
and this is fun. I'm like, that's great.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm completely the opposite. Anything that takes any kind of brain power, it needs to be in the afternoon.
It's so funny.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. And I haven't talked about this in a while, and I don't know if I shared this with you, but there is a book, and Chris has heard me say this 100 times, but there's a book called The Power of When, W-H-E-N. Mm-hmm. Check it out. You will probably love it. Yeah. And he talks, it's a sleep doctor. He's been like on all the, the talk shows, whatever, but he talks about how we're all these like 4 different animals, right? Each of us is an animal, and it's all based on your circadian rhythms. So you're either a lion, you and I are lions. There's wolves, which is probably what you are. They're the night people. And then you've got dolphins and bears, and most like societal norms are based on bears, meaning they get up decent time, they can stay up, middle. You got lions, which get up in the morning, and they're the breakfast eaters. They're the people that are like they're slinging their day by noon. Wolves get all their stuff, their second wind at night, and then dolphins just never sleep. They're like always up. But here's what's neat. It tells you in that book, like everything, like when to sign contracts, when to take your medicine, when's the best time to exercise, when's the best time to have a conversation with your spouse. It has all these things. And I've joked about this many times on the show. I told my husband, because he's a bear, I told him, I said, the only time that you can talk to me about anything important, Sunday, 3 p.m. That's it. No other time. Because he'll come in at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. He wants to have a conversation. I'm like, no, brain is off. And then at 5 in the morning, he's not, ready to go. My brain's like, let's have the conversation, like right now.
Yeah.
You're like, I just had my walk, and now I'm ready to ask you something.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, So anyways, check the book out. You will probably appreciate it. And it's really, it tells you.
What is it called again?
Power of When.
W-H-E-N. Okay, great.
And it's good even to know, like, when you're working with people, too, because then you kind of know how they, like, when's the best time to, like, introduce things to them and talk about, like, important stuff, So, anyways, off topic. All right.
I've got one.
Yes, go.
Cookie cake or ice cream cake?
That's good.
Ooh, that is a good one.
I'm hungry. We should not be talking about that.
I would have to say ice cream cake.
Ooh. What flavor?
I don't know. You know, I like chocolate, but I'm not a chocolate addict. I'm kind of old school. I like the traditional, vanilla bean.
I want a cookie cake
With
right
some
now.
I know. I want a
cinnamon
cookie
on it.
cake.
She's got Girl Scout cookies in her car.
Ooh.
We're about to go get Girl Scout cookies.
Yes.
I'm like hungry right now. That was good. I like that one. All right. Cat or dog?
Dog.
Do you have a dog?
My dog passed away.
I'm
in
sorry.
March.
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. She was a 3-time cancer survivor, and so
Wow.
Oh my
I gave her a
gosh.
good life.
The dog with
Yeah.
9 lives. I have a cat like that, like the 9 lives cat. I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so good. I bet you're good. You're a great pet owner. If you had a cat or dog, I say a cat. My cat was that. If you had a dog that had that 3 times, wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was tough.
Well,
That's all right.
She's
to your
awesome.
dog.
That's
She's
all
awesome.
right. Here's to Bella.
Yes.
Awesome.
Bella.
All right. If you could be, and if you have any more, this is going to be my last one. If you could be any superhero or character, it's my favorite question.
I
For
know.
one day, what would you pick?
Okay, so I've listened to other episodes of your
Yes.
podcast, and I knew this question was coming.
She says, it's coming, it's coming,
It's coming. And so I literally had to do research on superheroes
It's so
because
funny.
the only superheroes that are female that I really know of would be Wonder Woman, which
Mhm.
everybody probably says that. So I did my research and I
So
looked it
good.
up. I know. Well, I'm a writer and I
know.
research.
It's all good.
The Black Widow.
The Black Widow.
You want to know why?
Tell me that. Yes.
All right. Her powers include resistance to disease and aging.
Yeah.
Enough said, right? Ability to suppress and replace memories, and she's basically the run-of-the-mill extreme badass. So,
Ooh, hey.
I like it. And
Hey-o.
you get the award for new character today because we haven't
Black
had anybody say
Widow.
that one.
Me
Black
too.
Like I
Widow.
wait, I love this question. I always wait to see if somebody's
I
just
love
going to
this
give me like
question,
one we
too.
hadn't heard, and we had the Transformer one, which was
Oh,
good
that
because
was
we hadn't had
awesome.
anybody say
Well, I
Transformer.
heard, Invisible Woman,
Yes, yes,
which I loved that one. I wanted to steal it, but
yeah. And then the best one we've had that was like when I did a clip of it and it went like viral. We had Haley Sicking on here. She's an opera singer, beautiful singer.
Yeah.
And she came on and I had her on video and I asked that question. She's like, "Do you remember Xena the Warrior Princess?" And she
Yeah.
starts laughing like Xena. And we're like, "No, we don't remember Xena the Warrior." Like, so I like short clipped that and put it in and it went viral on Instagram.
my
Like
gosh, how
because she
funny.
shared it and that thing
Oh
just
my
went
God,
out
so
views like
funny.
all over. It was like
that's
hilarious.
awesome.
So, but that's good. We have not
That's
had
great.
anybody say that
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Okay, last question.
Yes.
Even though that's usually the last question. I
No,
think.
you're good.
Okay.
You are good.
You glossed over your past life as a radio host or whatnot,
This is
right?
good.
And I was kind of excited to ask you about music because I'm a music person.
Yes.
So I'm going to make this real simple. We don't have to talk about the old job or career or
Right.
whatever, but if you are a big music fan, which I have read that you are,
Yes.
I would love to know what your favorite concert, your favorite live show
Yes.
ever was, because I'm sure you've seen a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you're a big fan of live shows. So, can you give me
Oh, yeah.
one?
Yes.
Ooh, top
I can.
top live
and I
concert.
am a huge concert fan. Like music, live music, huge. My best experience was my first concert experience. Are you ready for this?
Yes, go. I am.
Ooh.
U2
Ah.
when I was 16, and I managed to get front row tickets, seat number 2,
So awesome.
way back in, gosh, I guess it was like 1985,
Yeah.
86. But yeah, it was phenomenal.
So we're talking Joshua Tree?
No.
I actually have that
Prior?
album.
Yeah.
I
Prior.
have
Unforgettable
that.
Fire.
Yeah, I have Joshua Tree. So, what was your first concert that you ever went to?
Michael Bolton.
You want to know what mine was? You're going to know because you and I are pretty close in age.
Yeah.
My first concert was Skid Row and Motley Crue.
Yes.
I've seen Motley
so
Crue
awesome.
3 times. Like, I've seen them like 3 times.
You're gonna have to talk to Victor about that.
Yeah,
He's gonna
Motley
love
Crue and Poison.
Oh my god.
Those are like my bands. I've seen
Oh,
Bret
yeah.
Michaels like 4 or 5
Yeah.
times. But yeah, Skid Row. And every time I hear 18 Alive, I'm like, yes. I remember that very first concert. We were at it was in Houston, and it was at what I think it used to be called the Summit
The
or
Summit.
whatever.
Yeah,
yes,
that's where
it
I
was
saw
there.
you too.
And yeah, so how awesome is that?
That's amazing.
So
Yeah.
Michael Bolton's good too. When I think of Michael Bolton, I think of working at Palais Royal when I was in college, and they would play it over the intercom. And Yanni, Michael Bolton and Yanni.
Yanni. Wow.
Do you remember Yanni?
Yes,
My mom loved
of course,
Yanni.
yeah.
I'm like, every time I go to work at Palais Royal, I'm like, oh, here we go again. It's Michael Bolton and Yanni
No,
today.
my mom took me to Michael Bolton, and then my follow-up second concert was NKOTB. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
buddy.
Never saw them.
I haven't seen him either. Yeah.
Yes,
It
never
was great. I had
saw
the
them.
hat
Yes.
on. I had the Donnie shirt. I was,
Oh,
I was all over it.
I was crying.
Please don't go, girls.
My sister was in love with them. I was a little older, so they were kind of, you and I are probably a little older, so they were kind of
Missed
like,
them.
yeah, they were in there, but it was kind of like just a little bit younger than us was kind of in that.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking, because I went to like Dirty Dancing. When Dirty Dancing came out, they had a concert there that was,
Oh, interesting.
and it was
Now,
a,
did you go see Duran Duran though?
I never never get to see Duran Duran. I would go see Duran Duran
They're
now.
so good.
I still
For
like
sure,
Duran Duran.
yeah.
This
Great
is fun.
show.
This is, like, here's the
Thank
fun
you.
part. Thanks for asking that question. That was so much fun.
That was a good
We were
question.
talking about how we're going to, like, at the beginning of our show, we're going to implement these questions again. We just didn't iron this out today. So that's kind of like we did that.
It works.
We kind of did that.
Yeah.
So it worked out good. This has been so awesome. So
Yes.
we got to ask you,
Yeah.
where do our listeners find you at? Where do they come learn about you? Where do we send them?
How do they hire you to be their
Exactly.
coach?
Sure. So the first place I would send them to is my website, because there are tips and strategies that I give away for free. WeWriteItNow.com, and then there's a button that you just click to schedule your complimentary consultation, and we'll just chit chat, and I'll be straight with you. I'll give you my recommendations. I'll pitch my services, and you can go with me or not. Either way, I'm good. But yeah, that's the best way to reach out to me. You can obviously find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Facebook. I do have a business page on Facebook, We Write It Now, and Christy Taylor Meenan on LinkedIn. So
She's everywhere.
Great.
We'll make sure when we get this out, we will get you tagged, get you marked, get your
Thanks.
website on there, all that good stuff. So
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
it's been fun.
Yes.
This has been
Yeah.
fun. I
Thanks
love
for
doing this.
giving us all the good details and
Sure.
being a little fun with this on the end. We always have to have that little bit of fun down there because like I can't be serious all the time.
Otherwise, they're bored, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We get bored too, so we gotta have fun. We gotta have a little bit of fun. That's why I always say we're starter girls with the Z because we like to be a little different. It can't be
right.
like, This has been good. So, couple things. We gotta send them somewhere. Like we gotta send our audience
That's
somewhere.
Yes, so if you're listening right now, which you are because you hear my voice, we have a extraordinary opportunity for you to uplevel your extraordinary decision-making skills. So all you got to do is go to startergirlswithaz.com and get your free gift. We have a free gift for you, and it's brand spanking new, and you got to go get it.
So good. That was
Nice.
so good.
Hey,
I
thanks.
love it. I love it. It's so
Are
good.
you sure you didn't do radio in your past?
She's done a few
I
fun
did
things.
do commercial voiceovers.
See?
I still do that a little bit.
Isn't she good? She's so
She
good.
is.
That's why this is so fun. I love working with her because she observes and she listens, and then she'll come out and she's like, she does that. I'm like, bam, bam. So good. All right. So to our listeners, we want to say thanks for tuning in. It's been a good, fun show. I've enjoyed having Christy here and always fun with Brianna. So it's been awesome. But please go to our iTunes page and give us iTunes and give us a rating on there. And then, of course, check us out on iHeart and Amazon and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We can't do this without you, right?
Right.
And with that, I'm going to leave you with a couple final thoughts. In order to have success, you must start. And every start begins with a decision. So you guys take care. Be safe and be kind to one another. We'll see you next time.